Hi guys, in today's video we're going to talk about converting units while using a Dalgona coffee recipe. Is this just an excuse for me to make some delicious coffee? Maybe, but converting units is a skill that's commonly tested on the SAT, so we'll be going over that. Let's say I found a recipe for Dalgona coffee and it calls for 2 tablespoons instant coffee, 2 tablespoons sugar, 2 tablespoons water, and 1 cup of milk. How many teaspoons of coffee, sugar, water should I add?
So if I want to figure out how many teaspoons I need, since there's 3 teaspoons and 1 tablespoon, all I really have to do is multiply 2 times 3. But technically what you're doing is converting units. So these cancel, tablespoon and tablespoon cancel, and you end up getting 6 teaspoons.
This example says a recipe for 2 servings of Dalgona coffee calls for 4 tablespoons instant coffee, 4 tablespoons sugar, 4 tablespoons water, and 474 milliliters of milk. How many cups of milk should I use? So in our last example, we were multiplying to get teaspoons.
Or in this example, I want to figure out how many cups of milk I need, and if there's 474 milliliters in 2 servings, and 1 cup has 237 milliliters, then I'm technically dividing by 2 to see how many is in 1 serving, and then dividing by 237 to see how many cups I need. So these units cancel, and after dividing that in my calculator, I get 1 cup per serving. So I'm going to need 1 cup of milk for my recipe. Okay, so let's see how our Dalgona coffee turned out with our recipe.
So I'm starting by putting in my 6 teaspoons of instant coffee. Now 6 teaspoons of sugar and 6 teaspoons of water. Okay, now it's time to mix. And if you also don't have a fancy electric mixer, you can get this one from Daiso for $1.50. Okay, let's fast forward this. Okay, it's been about 12 minutes. I think it's getting there, but let's keep going. Okay, it's been like 20 minutes and it still looks like this. Even though I don't have a top-of-the-line electric mixer, I thought it might get frothier, but we're just gonna call it done. So now I'm gonna pour my milk, and earlier we found out that we need 1 cup, which is about 237 milliliters, and I'm using oat milk here. Time to put the coffee on top of the milk. And my coffee is not foamy enough, and my cup is too big, so this is a fail on so many levels, but hopefully it just tastes good. Good thing this is really a math video and not a coffee video, because I totally messed up that whipped coffee.
How is it?
It's pretty good. Okay, well, the fun part's over. Now let's go back to seeing how this concept can help us solve some real SAT questions.
So this problem is from SAT Practice Test 7, and it's in section 4, and it's number 31. It says, in 1854, during the California Gold Rush, each ounce of gold was worth $20, and the largest known mass of gold found in California was worth $62,400 in that year. What was the weight in pounds of this mass of gold? So I took down some notes as we were reading the problem. It said that each ounce of gold was worth $20, and I want to write that as a ratio. So I could either write it as $20 per ounce, or I can write it as 1 ounce was worth $20, but I want to write it as a fraction or a ratio. And at the end of the problem, it also told us that 16 ounces is equivalent to 1 pound. Again, I can write it as 1 pound is equivalent to 16 ounces, but either way, as long as I have it as a ratio. So our last problem was a little simpler because all we had to do was multiply or divide by a number to get the answer. But in this case, there's a couple of different steps and there's a couple of different numbers, so we have to keep track of what we're dividing and what we're multiplying. So if we read the problem, what are they asking for? Like, what unit do we want to end up with as our answer? It says, what was the weight in pounds of this mass? So basically, in the end, we want something pounds as our answer. And the other number I should have written down in my notes was the $62,400 mass of gold. Okay, so if I want to end up with pounds as my answer, what I like to do is actually work backwards. And my goal is to eventually cancel out the units so that all I have left in the end is pounds. So out of all of these, the only one that I can use to end up with pounds would be this one. And I'm going to use 1 pound over 16 ounces. Because if I were to use this one and I start canceling everything, in the end, I'm going to end up with ounces, but I want pounds. Okay, and if I keep working backwards, I want to cross out ounces. So in order to do that, I would use this ratio. 1 ounce, $20. And working backwards again, okay, so I've used that. So now the only number I have left is 62,400. So now the ounces cancel, the dollars cancel, and I'm just going to end up getting pounds at the end. So now if I go and put that in my calculator, I get 62,400 divided by 20 divided by 16. And I ended up getting 195 pounds for my answer. So the next problem I'm going to read is from SAT Practice Test 4, and it's Section 4, number 33. While I'm reading it, see if you can write down the ratios that are found in the problem. It says the pes, a Roman measure of length, is approximately equal to 11.65 inches. Okay, so there's one ratio you can write down right there. It is also equivalent to 16 smaller Roman units called digits. Based on these relationships, 75 Roman digits is equivalent to how many feet to the nearest hundredth? So these are the ratios that I jotted down from the problem. 1 pes is 11.65 inches, or you can write it this way. 1 pes is also equal to 16 digits, or you can write it this way. And then 12 inches is 1 foot, or 1 foot is 12 inches. Now let's figure out how we can cancel out the units to get our answer. And actually the only other piece of information I haven't written down yet from the word problem was 75 digits. It wanted us to figure out for 75 digits, how many feet is that? So this question is asking us how many feet in the very end. So I want to end up with feet as my units. Again, I like working backwards, so I want to figure out in the very end how I'm going to end up with feet after I cancel out all the different units. I'm going to use this one first because if I want to end up with feet, I'm going to put that at the very end. And of course I chose this one because if I chose this one, I'm going to end up with inches at the very end. Okay, so working backwards, now how am I going to end up crossing out inches? I want inches here so that it can cancel and I would end up with feet. So I'm going to use this one next. Next, I want to cancel out pes. So I'm going to choose this one. And lastly, I want to put 75 digits right here so that the digits will cancel. Okay, so I cancel out the inches, pes, digits. So in the end, if I go and put that into my calculator, I'm going to get 4.55 feet. And it wanted us to round to the nearest hundredth. So that's where we're going to end.
Alright, well, I still don't understand how everyone else got their coffee so foamy, but that's alright. Thanks for watching and please subscribe if you haven't.